What's up guys, this is the Honest Outlaw here, and I just wanted to do a quick video on my PPQ. One of the reasons is because it hasn't had some love in a while, and I just recently did a comparison video between it and the Glock 34 and the M&P, and I figured it deserved its own video to talk about some of the accessories, and then at the end of the video, I'll tell you my impressions after a boatload of rounds. And I'll start with some of the accessories that I don't have on it first. And one of the biggest ones is that I don't have a red dot on the PPQ. Now a lot of people ask me why, because I said the PPQ is a great host for red dots, and I still stand by that. I think the PPQ's trigger matched with the accuracy and 1 point of aim of a red dot is an excellent pairing. I really, really do. I think if you want to shoot 100, even 150 yards with a pistol, the PPQ match with a red dot like a 1 MOA RMR, for example, would be a phenomenal choice. Now for me personally, I left it with the iron sights. Now why did I do that? Well, because I'm kind of an iron sight guy. If you look at my handguns, for the most part, I have lots of high-end handguns, and they're almost all going to be running a very similar sight setup. They're going to be running a high-definition front with a black rear, or they're going to be running a fiber optic front with a blacked out rear. And I don't like to have to change my point of aim, and because most red dots sit higher. Now I know they make the shield sights with the lower co-witnessing red dot, but those in any review that I've seen that actually had a reputation that I would consider reliable, they did not fare very well. If you look at Aaron Cowan's from Sage Dynamics review of that, it was not positive. So I'm going to wait till they come out with a model of that red dot that actually is very reliable and durable, like the Trijicon RMR, and then maybe I'll go the red dot route. I took that off, but it doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. It's going to work great for you. The one other problem with the red dot or PPQ, however, is because it does have a very high slide. It puts that dot up even higher, and if you're used to shooting something like a Glock or a CZ P10C or something like that, you might have an issue with kind of adjusting your eye to aim even higher with the PPQ or the red dot on. Now that that's out of the way, I actually took off the Sandpaper Grips. The Sandpaper Grips is something I really recommend on the PPQ because it's very slick and it's very snappy. And a gun that's very snappy, if you have a lot of traction on it, you can muscle that gun down a little bit better and it won't slide around in your hand. You can make that gun shoot faster even though it doesn't want to. Now the reason why I took that off is because I think I'm going to get this gun stippled, and I also wanted to take some filler of it, and people were asking me about it, but that's why. I wanted to take better footage of it because the Sandpaper Grips look like shit, even though they're very functional, and I'm actually thinking about getting it stippled. Now another upgrade that I added that I don't really think you need to, but I did in order to do a review of it at some point, and I guess this will be my mini review right here, is going to be the Apex trigger. Now the Apex trigger in the PPQ is almost cheating. It's absurdly good. I mean, this is a polymer gun. Did you see that? The travel of the trigger is so short and so light that it's just amazing to me. It's easily the best trigger of any polymer gun I've ever felt. It's better than a lot of steel double single action guns that I've tried. And that's really saying something. I've always said that with a PPQ's trigger, if they could design like a lower bore axis, less snappy gun around it, it would be the perfect gun for me. But the Apex trigger, is it worth it? If you want the absolute best possible trigger in the market today for a polymer gun, yes, the Apex trigger is probably worth the $150 I think they go for. But you don't need it because the PPQ's match trigger is already very, very impressive. Very impressive, better than any other polymer gun beforehand. Then you add this and it's even better. I'm fine with it or without it, but with it, it's just that extra level of wow. Now the Taylor Freelance magwell. Now I like to have a magwell on my 5-inch guns, and one of the reasons is to offset the weight so it doesn't feel a little bit out of balance. Now the PPQ's balance isn't too bad to begin with because it has the slide relief cuts that even though it's got the 5-inch barrel, it doesn't have so much nosedive to it. Kind of like my STI Apiero over here. One of the problems with it is that it's got a little bit of a nose heavy feel to it that you have to get used to when you're shooting, and I like to offset that with the magwell, and obviously for faster reloading. Two problems with the Taylor Freelance magwell. One, it's $50, and that's pretty average for magwells, but you still have to pay for it. The second thing that is the problem is I don't feel it's very ergonomic. Now, nothing against Taylor Freelance. I'm sure he's working on designs, and maybe he's not used to people with like bare hands, but my hands just do not get comfortable with the magwell. If I shoot like 100 rounds, since it has this big lip on it and it's not tapered, it really digs into my hand after a while, and it's not going to bother me. You know, I could shoot 200-300 rounds through it, but it is going to be uncomfortable, and if you have stuff like a CZ Orange or an STI Apiero, usually just end up shooting that instead of this because it's less comfortable. The other problem that I had was that it was not beveled for the gun. Now, I've had other guns that are like that, again, like the CZ Orange, for example, that was probably like my only disappointment on that gun, but I was kind of disappointed that I had to bevel this myself, and I know it looks like shit, but what are you gonna do? It's to basically, its only job is to hold magazines. It's not gonna be in a fashion show, so I don't really care what it looks like. But I wish it was beveled from the factory so I didn't have to do it incredibly shittily myself. So I wish it was more ergonomic. I wish it was tapered to the grip. Now, that's kind of a problem with the PPQ in itself, whereas the PPQ has this shorter grip for a 15-round magazine, and when they made the 5-inch, they didn't make the grip any longer, they just put a longer slide on it. And that's okay for most people, but again, guys with bigger hands, or people that want factory capacity of 17 plus 1, let's say, with a 5-inch gun, they should have made the grip a little bit longer. If I could redesign the PPQ, I would have a lower bore axis, a slightly longer grip with this 5-inch frame, and it would be a rock solid gun. And then I could add a mag well. And the other issue with Taylor Freelance is that it's the only one available. It's the only magwell that I found at all. So they're really the only ones making aftermarket parts, and that's why I have their mag base plates here. And I think this is a +6, giving me 21 rounds. That's fun, I have to admit. I do enjoy the base plates, and they are excellent. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Taylor Freelance's quality. It is a very quality magwell, although I wish it was a little bit more ergonomic, but what are you gonna do? They're the only thing available. So those are kind of the accessories. I do wish it came with more texture on the grip, obviously, but I did add a little memory pad here. And for those guys who like to drive with their thumbs, some people do, some people don't, that is a cool thing to do. Another thing that you can do to decrease the snappiness is simply just add a weapon light. And that way you can use it for your home defense gun and for a plinking gun. As long as you're not running a competition, there's even some competitions that will allow that, the extra weight will weight down the front of the gun just a little bit, and it will reduce that snappy recoil that you have a tendency to get with the PPQ. Another option you could do is you could Magna Port it as well. I think these ports are actually here in case you wanted to do that, because that's right where Magna Port would put their ports. So that's another option, but that's $120. And some people don't want to do that because porting guns do get a little bit dirtier inside, so you'll have to deal with that. And if you're, shooting from retention, oh God, it might light you on fire. It won't, but that's the old stigma. Coming to the end of the video here, we're just going to mention that it is still extremely reliable. It is still extremely accurate. The PPQ match is everything that I said it was in the review, and maybe a little bit more now that I have that Apex trigger. If you need a polymer gun and you want to carry it all day and you want something as light as the Glock 34, but you want to shoot the dick off a hummingbird at 100 yards and you are capable of that, the PPQ is your gun. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.